OCG metagame report. Why does it say number 6 and number 7 up there? Did they do that on purpose? They probably did that on purpose. I hate that they did that on purpose. The new product release, utility selection, and surely with the release of the new Mind Mirror Force in the utility selection, surely the format is now saved. Surely the way to fix the format is by introducing more band-aid fixes to the combo decks in the format, or the high ceiling and power level in the OCG. Surely just slap more band-aids on it is what always works, right? Let's do that. So let's take a look. Okay, I've got good and I've got bad news. The good news is Toon is no longer the best deck, apparently, according to these statistics. But the bad news is the only way to get it out of the top spot was to power creep Elf Note into Oblivion, which is a deck that did not need to be power crept. And also, surprisingly, this is going to shock some people. The introduction of a band-aid fix like Mind Mirror Force to combo decks did not work. Who could have guessed? Honestly, I'd be surprised if people even played Mind Mirror Force, because as much as I love the concept of this card, I think it just isn't strong enough. I think they just made this card not good enough. They needed to make this card stronger. But okay. I'm afraid to do so, but let's take a closer look at what's going on right now. Elf Notes. Akajar, Descendant Dragon of the Ice Barrier, is a new level 9 synchro monster from utility selection that provides Elf Note with additional utility. Oh, awesome. Okay, so this is gonna make me very sad, because this card was actually one of the cards out of that pack that I thought was the coolest and also a well-designed card. But it turns out it is just another generic extra deck tool that Elf Notes is using now. So it was this card, which is, you can only use, it's a level 9 generic synchro. If this card is synchro summoned, discard 1 card, banish 2 cards from your opponent's field or grave. If your opponent special summons a monster, banish a card from your hand, return a card in either field or grave to the hand. If this synchro summoned card is sent to the grave during the opponent's turn, you can banish a card from their hand at random, field or grave. So it's a relatively balanced but strong generic level 9 synchro, but still, of course, new generic level 9 synchro means synchro decks get more support. So, okay. Awesome. Similar to Firewall Dragon, this effect can be used to salvage hand traps such as Maxi or Droll and Lockbird from the graveyard. So if Elf Note ashes your Maxi now, they can also add it back. That's cool. Or ashes your Charmy. Awesome. An opening with Elf Note Lucina plus 1 monster card is as follows. Oh, this is why. Because here's the thing, one of my main reasons why I thought this card was well designed was because the third effect, which was the hand loop, which is the most toxic effect on this card, needs to be like, is very hard to trigger on the opponent's turn. But Elf Note conveniently has a way to do that because they just send it for the trap. So, oh my god. So what they did was they just added another hand loop to Elf Notes. So the Elf Note end board in the Oath, I can't believe it got worse. How could it get worse? How could it get worse? Because we were here on the last OCG metagame report, and it was already crazy. How is this the direction we're going? Typhrame Lord Omega, banish a random card from the opponent's hand. Akajar, banish a random card from the opponent's hand. Elf Note, banish 1 random card from the opponent's hand. Half of your hand is gone. Okay, yeah, no wonder that Mind Mirror Force isn't doing anything. No wonder that Mind Mirror Force isn't doing shit. Or the new Spatial Trunade. Of course that's not going to stop Elf Notes if the deck has access to 3 hand rips. Of course, board breakers are unplayable if this is the case. Triple hand loop. Baron the Fleur negates a card or effect. Archmage the Actorist negates a card or effect, and Rhapsodia negates the card. Dude, unironically, this is a literal FTK. There's no way to beat this. This is 3 hand rips, 3 negates. And there's look, Elf Note Lucina has a bounce. Elf Note Fortuna has a spell trap bounce. Not that that matters much. And then Medicurious banish all cards your opponent controls. What cards? What cards are you banishing? There are none. It's fine because they dance. This deck is disgusting, man. OCG might ban Baron for real this time. And do you know what the craziest thing about this is? If the OCG bans Baron, it'll do nothing at this point. Because it's so... This deck is so far gone. It's so far gone that, like... This deck is already... This deck already won our latest YCS. And this deck does not have access to Baron. It didn't play Omega, even though they could in the TCG. And it doesn't even have any of the Ars Magna cards yet. Toon. Similar to Prohibition and Mind Crush, Psyblocker is another tech that Toon could use effectively as Mind Scan. This effect makes the opponent keep their hand revealed. Psyblocker is similar to Prohibition in that the declared card cannot be used until the end of the opponent's next turn, but Psyblocker is slightly stronger in that its effect will continue to apply even if Psyblocker leaves the field. That allows Psyblocker to be repeatedly summoned, so it could declare... How... Oh, what are they... What is Toon do? Why is this the second best deck that I'm looking at right now? What am I looking at right now? An opening with Funny Dark Rabbit plus 1 monster card is as follows. The end board consists of 7 disruptions. Psyblocker declares a card name. Cards with that name and their effects cannot be used until the end of the opponent's next turn. Activated 3 times. Firewall Dragon returns 2 monsters from field or graveyard to the hand. Comic Cat tributes, Toon Terror negates, Mind Scan declares a card, negate the activated effects. With Psyblocker declaring 3 card names and Mind Scan declaring 1 card name, the opponent effectively has 4 cards in the hand blocked off. The remaining 2 cards that the opponent has could be easily dealt with Firewall Dragon, Comic Cat, and Toon Terror. This is about 50% of the format, by the way. This is 50% of the format. 50% of the OCG right now. And both of these decks are essentially coming to us in full power. Like, the fact that Baron is banned for Elf Notes, I don't even count that as a real hit to its ceiling anymore. It doesn't even matter. This is legit complete freaking FTK material. Both of these decks are completely absurd. Hop on Genesis, folks. Unironically, I think that is the biggest appeal to Genesis format. Like, screw that promise of yesterday's gameplay, today's cards. Screw that. I don't want yesterday's gameplay. I want gameplay. Give me gameplay, because the Advanced doesn't have that anymore. Like, the selling point for Genesis, the promise is literally just, here, we have gameplay. We got that at least. Who cares if Blitzclick won the last 2 events? What, you get gameplay with cards. Gameplay with cards is the promise of Genesis format. The only reason why Elf Note seems to be better than Cool Tune than the Toon deck here is the fact that Elf Notes can play the Gallant Thief. I guess, because, like, I mean, that's the one good news here. If there is anything to take away from this, is that, and this is actually, it's not even a good news, it's kind of like bad news at the same time, but like it feels like the impact of these quote-unquote 1 versus 1 negation hand traps is almost non-existent, because, like, I mean, Elf Notes, just play your Charmies and your high impact hand traps and your Ash to negate the Charmies. That's all you need. What else are you trying to do? Like, these decks don't lose the hand traps anymore. The decks don't lose the hand traps because everything's a starter, everything's an extender. They don't have choke points anymore, and they FTK you into oblivion, so board breaking also doesn't work. Yeah, Cool Tune is still Cool Tune, I guess. Still hanging in there with infinite hand traps is what you're trying to do, I guess. Just hope the opponent can't play. Conclusion. Elf Node has overtaken Toon as the top deck. Elf Node can set up an overwhelming opening board that is comparable or better than the Toon opening board. Elf Node is also stronger when going second, being able to break the opponent's board with the world's greatest Gallant Thief, and push for a game with Midi Curious, the power patron of illusions, boosted by Ars Magna, effect which triples the original attack, blah blah blah, and attack 3 monsters. Yeah, sure. Many players are now running the full 3 Mulcharmy Fuwalos and 3 Mulcharmy Perulia in the main deck to have a chance at stopping Elf Node. It's frustrating. It's frustrating because it's just like this doesn't even have anything to do with whatever we were talking about earlier with like combo versus mid-range at this point. Because like something like Toons or Cool Tune would probably fall into a different category than something like Elf Nodes. You know, they're not the same type of deck. But it's just a matter of these decks going first, they literally just everything here just auto wins. Everything here just auto wins. It's just all, it's essentially all FTKs. Everything here is just FTKs. There's no other way of putting the fairest deck here is Cool Tune by far. And Cool Tune's game plan when it goes first is also usually to lock your opponent out of playing. Of course, like it's not a super interactive deck. It's weaker than Toon at doing so, but still ultimately the game plan most of the time when you look at your opponent's hand is like, okay, how do I negate that starter? How do I negate this starter? But it's crazy that like, because Cool Tune is already a deck that I don't hate it, but I also don't think it feels good to go second against Cool Tune most of the time. Like on average, it's like sometimes you have a really good hand and it feels fine, but on average it doesn't feel great to go second into Cool Tune. But compared to these other decks, I would go second against 10 Cool Tunes in a row rather than playing against one of these. It's rough, man. What extra deck card even lets you go from Toon to 1,000 different bridges? Is it Reproducus? I mean, they do a lot of different things. I think Reproducus in this deck is mainly just used to make Link Decoder, so it doesn't really bridge into anything. It's just a way to get Link material onto the board. So the fact that we don't have Link Decoder in the TCG is going to help. But also, I think Zena. Zena is one of the main things to do. I think Zena is probably how you send the Psyblocker. Let me see. Yeah, Zena's effect sends Psyblocker from deck. That's just another... Zena... Dude. Because this issue, I truly believe that this issue is twofold. Like, all of these decks can be broken down into 2 problems. Number 1, the engines are pretty damn strong. A lot of these engines are pretty damn strong. Like the Elf Node engine is really, really strong and way too powerful. And the Toon engine is also way too strong and way too powerful. And then the second part to both of these decks is just the generic extra deck tools that these decks have are just not okay. For in the case of Elf Nodes, it's the access to Omega, Baron, Crystal Wing, Dawn Dragster, whatever, like all these cards that are, I mean, a lot of them are even part of some archetype, but like Psyframes don't play Omega, or Psyframes don't exist, FAs don't exist. I guess Speedroids are getting some support, but like, you know, it's just the Elf Node deck is using all these other endboard pieces that are all generic cards to push it over the top. And the Toon deck is doing the same thing, right? You're using Zena, a Bow, Link Decoder into Firewall, add your stuff back, Dugaris, Zalantis to reset everything, Charmer Quartet in Bloom. And like, you know, for some of these cards, you could say like, oh, well, they printed these like 10 years ago. They didn't know what they were going to do in the future. To which you could say like, well, they should maybe ban them now. And then the other thing is like, no, some of these cards are from this year. They just made Zena. They banned Beatrice last year, I think. It's not even that long ago that they had to get rid of Beatrice, and they print Zena like a year later, or 2 years. They banned Beatrice 2 years ago. Like, who in their right mind? Like, I just can't fathom it. Like, who realizes in 2024 you have to ban Beatrice, which is a rank 6, which isn't even that easy to summon, right? You ban that card, and then 2 years later, when the game is even more powerful, you make Xena, which is easier to summon and better. I don't understand. I genuinely don't understand. Is to make people buy it? I genuinely don't think that's how it works, though. Like, I agree with you. That's probably what they're thinking. But I think that these cards hurt the game more than the game benefits from them. Like, there is no way in the long term they make more money from printing a Xena than from keeping the game more balanced. There is no way. Look at how excited people are for Xenovaders or Ray's Moon, and compare that to how excited people are about Toons coming out or Elf Notes getting even more support. Like, if decks like because here's the other truth, Nuke, right? Xenovaders and Ray's Moon, as much as I love the design of these archetypes, they don't matter. They don't have a chance against this. What do you mean? These decks are designed well, and they need to play like 30 engine in their deck. They don't have enough non-engine to keep up with this. How are you going to go second into this with Xenovaders or with Ray's Moon? So you are maybe you're boosting sales of Xena, but by boosting sales of Xena, you are decreasing sales of other stuff. Because no one is really going to care at a competitive level for these decks. Like the sales for those decks is going to go way down. So it's not even like I don't think it's a net positive for them. The card's effect is just Foolish Burial on paper. It's fine. It's not fine because it's in the extra deck. Why do you think Lavalval Chain, Beatrice, and all those cards, and Curious all had to be banned? Because a card like Foolish Burial from the extra deck is way too easy to get all of your cards to. What are you saying? Are you saying that they should ban Psy Blocker? Is Psy Blocker the problem here? The card that someone discovered like 5 weeks in? Because the stuff that last week they didn't do Psy Blocker. Please reread. Or were you being ironic? Okay, well it didn't sound very ironic to me, but it's fine. Yeah, your name being Gimmick Puppet didn't help, to be fair, in my defense. I don't know, man. It's just frustration in me that's building up over the last couple of months. And I mean, I always knew I wasn't going to be happy with Toons and Elf Notes getting support, like with the cards coming out. Like I was never going to be happy about this, but the fact that it's getting even like it feels like it's a downward spiral right now, and they don't even try to stop it in the OCG. I don't know about the TCG, right? That's, I guess, the last bit of hope is that maybe the TCG is going to do something about this, but I don't know if that's happening. But it feels like a downward spiral, and like they go like, here we make Mind Mirror Force, but at the same time we also make more, like they're making more support for Elf Notes than against Elf Notes right now is the thing, right? They're making more support for decks like this than against decks like this, right? Because you're not gonna fix all of this with just here's a Mind Mirror Force. I don't know, man. It's rough. So yeah, if this is unironically, if this is the format for YCS Bologna, which is looking likely right now, unfortunately, right now it's looking like this is going to be the format for YCS Bologna minus Baron in this deck and minus Link Decoder in this deck. And I'm looking at both of these decks right now, and I'm thinking to myself, is this now an enjoyable deck to play against without that one card in the extra deck? And I'm still reaching the conclusion of hell no, it's still not. It's still not an enjoyable format if this deck doesn't have Link Decoder and this deck doesn't have Baron. So yeah, you will find me in the Genesis events for YCS Bologna then. It is what it is. How can we look at the side deck and see Solemns and think they're just a cherry on top? I mean, the side deck is a whole different topic, but yeah. I mean, the side decks don't really make it more enjoyable either, because when they go first and they draw a solemn, it's like even if you stop them, they probably stop you back, and if you don't stop them, then now you have to face this plus a solemn, which is definitely. But it's funny because in TCG at the moment, like the format is at least more balanced to a point where you could at least say like the solemns are a bigger problem comparatively. In the OCG, it's just like I'm not gonna throw a fit with solemn warning if this is what's happening, right? Elf Node in the side, is that going second quick play as a one-off from utility selection? Yeah, they are playing one copy of the Ultimate Sky card from the utility selection. And I honestly don't even know what for. Because this card doesn't even seem good going second into whatever this is. We didn't know how good we had it with Justice Hunters format. I mean, Justice Hunters format, I was pretty happy during Justice Hunters format. The game wasn't perfect, but you know, things were good. I said throughout the entirety of 2025, I like the direction that this is going. And then for 2026, they said, nope. Go back. Go back. And it's kind of sad to me personally, because I think in all other aspects besides the actual game balancing right now, Yu-Gi-Oh! Is doing such a fantastic job right now. They're doing so well on all the other stuff, like the introduction of overframes, the new YCS pricing, the locals support with like the tournament packs and everything. Like everything about Yu-Gi-Oh! Right now is so good, except for like some generic card designs and some archetype designs. Like all they needed to do is to be a little bit more careful with power levels, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Would be eating so good. And let me get that clear. These are outliers in card design, right? It's not like everything that's happening right now is unbalanced or whatever. Like there's a lot of stuff in the game that's being designed where like there's so many archetypes, like maybe more than ever over the last year, where I looked at them and I was like, yeah, that looks awesome, right? Like Clown Crew, the what's it called? The Raise Moons, the Xenovaders, the Blitz Clicks, the Radiant Typhoons. So many archetypes that I've looked at and I was like, yeah, this is awesome. I want to play that. So many of them. But from a competitive perspective, none of that matters if this is if this exists and this exists. It just doesn't really matter competitive. This is an unfortunate truth about game design. Like game designer is a tough job in that sense that like you can do 9 things perfectly, and then if you do one thing the wrong way, it basically, like all the other things don't really matter from a competitive perspective. But that's why the ban list needs to be more aggressive, I think. I feel like that's exactly, you have a tool for this. We have a tool for this. We have the ban list, and everyone in the competitive scene would appreciate if they used it a little bit more to make sure that we can actually play the game.